and in today's episode of This, we are joined by Kристина Констандаке, Chief Revenue Officer of Viber. This is one of the most popular, trusted, and used by hundreds of millions of people communication platform. And today we'll talk about how Viber is building a secure app in Europe, how it balances monetization and user experience, and how it empowers businesses from global brands to small-sized and medium-sized enterprises, especially here in Bulgaria. Kристина, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Always a pleasure.
Thank you. Tell us a bit about your story.
My story? Well, I joined almost 9 years ago, which in new media feels like forever. Not sure if I should be flattered or not and what that says about my age, but basically it's been a long time and it's been an exciting time because a lot of things happened, a lot of things changed, a lot of challenges, not the best ones along the way, but yes, we're still here and we're still going strong.
You're saying, let's start with this, you're building a secure app in Europe. What does this mean in practice?
Well, technically, we have already built a secure app in Europe. Meaning that as a messaging app, Viber is probably, for sure, but let's say that you need some technical experts in order to understand that, is the one app that is truly secure. And when it was built under the premises that nothing that is ever shared by the users in private messages is ever available to anybody inside the company or outside the company. So all the information sits by default only on your phone and never on our servers. We have various certifications that actually show that this is true. For those that are more technically minded, SOC2 type of certification, that is probably the most recognized patent, if you want, in terms of cybersecurity, and the various of other certifications to show all this. So Viber was built secure from day one. What we're aiming to do now is take the messaging space and turn it into a super app space, which means that in addition to communication, you have access to a variety of other services and functions that follow the same super secure DNA.
And about the security, was it hard to build such an app in Europe, or does the restrictions in Europe actually helped you to do that?
When we started, it was before the so-called Brussels effect. So GDPR was not the case back then. Many other laws were a lot more permissive 14, 15 years ago. So you can say that we were way ahead of time because we built this app that is secure when security was not necessarily a topic. Now it is. And it's great to see that the efforts that we've been putting into maintaining this level of privacy and security is finally basically catching up at industry level and is becoming a standard, or at least a requirement for a standard.
Yeah, but with all these growing concerns about AI, hacker attacks, cyber criminals, etc., I guess you're facing some difficulties. Not constantly, of course, but there are cases. How do you fix them?
Fraud of any type is a constant challenge, and we have been dedicating resources over time in order to ensure that the algorithms are always up to date, that the tools are up to date, that the teams are up to date with everything that could potentially jeopardize user experience. But with all this in mind, the fact that from day one, Viber was built as an app where nothing sits on our servers, everything sits on your phone. Unless somebody steals your phone, technically, nobody else has access to these messages.
I didn't know that. That's very interesting. And except from this privacy, tell me more about the services that you offer and how can you manage to balance these? Because in monetizations, sometimes there are trade-offs. You know, when you have to monetize something, this comes at the expense of the user experience.
True. But if you're talking about monetization and data, because this data is not accessible to us to begin with, it's not something that we can monetize. The only thing that we can look at monetizing in terms of data is anything that is public information about the user in the app, something that he has already given consent to sharing. And typically in a messaging app like Viber, this would be, for example, interests. It says that somebody is interested in news or tech or cars or travel, and they are joining certain communities, or they are
like Viber dating, things like that.
Viber dating came later, and this is a very new service, more like any Viber groups, public groups around travel, for example, or a community around new tech, or a community around the latest, cars, or, finance trends. This is all public information. So the user consents, you consent to getting information about new tech. Exactly. Yeah. And that information is used to infer a profile for this user. And from there, let's say, we will be showing you an ad or content that is tailored to your needs. Yeah. But it's only the content, or rather the interest that you have given express consent to share with Viber. Mm. Anything else is private. It's something that we do not access, we don't monetize. So it's always a matter of finding the right balance between monetization and user experience, like you said. And in our case, we do it by putting privacy first, and then, if you want to put it like that, monetization second.
Okay, and comparing markets, what is the feedback from users? Not only for the security, for the monetization, for all the ads that they receive, for the user experience, for everything. How do you compare Europe to Asia and the US?
Because while we have a global approach, the strategy and the execution is localized, we are trying to understand what users want in each of these regions. So what we might be showing in Bulgaria is not necessarily something that we will be showing in Philippines. Relevance remains extremely important when it comes to the content that we show, and that means the advertising content as well. So when we engage with businesses to interact with the app, so for example, the yellow taxi in Bulgaria, we want to make sure that they are actually adding value to the user experience in the country where they are, and it's not just, a random ad that is put in front of them. And it's the same everywhere else. So business messaging is very strong in all the regions, but it's not the same type of businesses that will be sending messages in Bulgaria compared to the businesses in Philippines, for example. The same thing for the small and medium enterprises, where we see a certain profile for them in Bulgaria, and we see a slightly different profile in Asia, for example.
So what does works best for Bulgaria?
For Bulgaria, we're seeing a lot of interest from the small and medium enterprises in the sectors of beauty. Mm-hmm. Well, Bulgarian women take very good care of themselves, so Bulgarian I can understand women, that.
Yes, all the Eastern Europeans.
Exactly.
Yes.
Then we have cars, so Bulgarian men apparently, but not only are interested in cars. And then we have a variety of local services that are very, very active. Then when it comes to bigger type of businesses, it's a lot of retail actually. It's a lot of utility services, probably more than in other parts of the world. So it means that, facilities of accessing certain type of services like banking services or paying your utility bills through the app it has a high appetite for Bulgarians. So it's very much in the space of utility / relevance.
Except for what you're telling me, what is the greater difference between other messaging platforms?
In Bulgaria specifically?
In Bulgaria, yes, specifically.
I think that we are fortunate enough to have, let's say, coverage within the majority of the population in Bulgaria. And that means that we can afford to offer them services that are not necessarily available on our apps. All of this, the bots, that we are facilitating, the business messaging that we are sending on behalf of the businesses, even the advertising that we are showing is not necessarily something that is active or present and such on our messaging apps, because they don't have the same reach and because they don't have the same history of being close to the Bulgarian people and being present in their day-to-day life. Yeah. Because ultimately, the logic behind adding services is making sure that they are useful. Messaging is already the biggest part of what we're doing on a daily basis. So it makes sense when we're looking at our functions that they will meet the same need for utility as messaging.
It's obviously successful because I think there's no one in Bulgaria who doesn't have Viber.
I hope so.
I believe so too. And as a CRO, how do you measure success? Which are the main KPIs that you follow?
Well, thanks to my CFO, I have revenue targets like everyone else. But as I said, it always comes by measuring the impact on the users. So we would never launch any either type of service or product or feature that risks jeopardizing the main reason why people in Bulgaria use Viber, which remains messaging.
Sorry to interrupt you. How do you get this feedback so that you analyze all the data and improve?
But first of all, we run a lot of in-app surveys where the users are invited to give their opinion. We monitor a lot of the comments online. We monitor the comments on the App Store. So we really try to understand from the users themselves through direct channels of communication what they want and what they don't want. And then, of course, we look at the usage of a different user. So when you see that a lot of users are opening a lot of business messaging, it means that it is a service that has a certain value. When you see that there are lots of interactions through a bot, even if you don't know what the interactions are, it means that there is an appetite from the users to interact with the bot. Same thing for the marketplace that we have recently launched. Marketplace being the space for small and medium businesses to be discovered. We're seeing that Bulgaria actually leads in terms of percentage of interactions versus the businesses that are present, because there is an appetite to, first of all, find these businesses and, more importantly, engage with them. So all of these KPIs help us understand or shape what comes next.
You said small and medium enterprises. In Bulgaria, this is the higher percentage of businesses that we have here. So how does Viber help them?
Actually, small and medium enterprises worldwide represent the majority.
The majority, of course.
So what they want is for their business to grow. For many people, this is their livelihood. So you need, or rather our mission is to give them tools to help them manage their business better and help them grow their business when they are ready for it. So the marketplace, when we launched the business account, was the first step into the direction of we're getting, or rather we're helping you to get your business discovered.
Can you give some examples with these tools and what is about to come, like new tools?
So the marketplace is about discovery, and we have recently launched what we call Viber, or rather Business Plus, which is a service that allows businesses to promote themselves. This comes at a cost, mainly because, like I was saying, we need to balance the user interactions and the businesses' interactions with users. Despite the fact that a lot of these businesses are, growing, the reality is that they are also learning how to connect with their customers. So we want to make sure that they will have some predefined framework from which they can contact the users, they can promote themselves, but without necessarily spamming them or sending too many messages or too many promotional messages. So, long story short, Business Plus is a service aimed at small and medium businesses to help them promote themselves better. In parallel, we also launched our self-serve platform for advertising for small and medium businesses that allows them to actively buy ads on Viber and promote their business to an audience or to a database that is meeting their requirements. So if somebody is launching a beauty salon and is looking for customers within a certain neighborhood or from a different from a certain sector, running an advertising campaign on Viber will allow them to tailor this marketing campaign the way that they see fit.
So in terms of Bulgarian market, the digital transformation is accelerating, but sometimes budget is limited. Does this mean that the tax that all these tools come with are going to be scaled depending on...
It means that all of these tools that are aimed specifically at SMBs are priced for the SMBs, and we are aware what that means for them and what is their power or other marketing budgets and what they can afford to invest. So we want to give them a chance to grow their business, and we want to help them grow their business. So everything that has been launched with this approach in mind.
So you already know what to expect and what businesses want. Recently, the Ministry of the Bulgarian government allocated 92 million euro for digitalization of SMEs. Sorry. How are you going to help with this transformation, with all these money given to businesses? How Viber finds its place in this?
We're providing a platform for these small businesses to grow, as I was saying. So while we appreciate the fact that the government invested in it, what we want to make sure is that we continue to develop the platform and the tools and the services that SMBs have access to in such a way that actually they find their place on Viber and they grow their activity on Viber. Mm-hmm. And that means not only growing their business and their customer database, but also, increasing the interactions with users, making sure that these interactions remain relevant, guiding them as much as we can, of course, through the whole process of growing a business and taking it from a small business to hopefully a medium business, and why not one day even a bigger business.
Global brand, yeah. Do you have a successful story with the Bulgarian business that you can share with us?
The small business or was bigger businesses?
Small or bigger, whatever you want.
Yeah, Yellow Taxi was a good example because they were one of the first ones to actually launch a bot on Viber. And many years ago, when in other parts of the world, bigger, more established apps, let's say, were just launching, Bulgaria was way ahead actually in using a digital channel to order an app. Mm-hmm. And that was great. Also, over time, it's difficult for me because I'm not based here, but I know from my colleagues and my sales force, we had lots of businesses actually using bots to actively engage with the customers. In Bulgaria, for example, there was a chain of local gyms that was offering personalized training through bots based on what the customers were looking to achieve. I want to work on my abs, I want to work on the muscles, I want to work on this, on that. So from there, the bot would send them personalized fitness programs. There are plenty of examples. Recipes. So there was a company that you used to be able to write the ingredients that you have in your fridge, and they would suggest recipes.
Well, I should start using Viber more.
You see?
Yeah, true.
So actually, Bulgaria has been a pioneer in many, many respects. Because to this day, when we have a request from somebody in a different part of the world, the local sales team is like, we already had this here. We've been doing it for years.
Yeah, I'm telling you, everyone is using Viber. Especially me, I was kidding. I use Viber on a daily basis, all the time. I will ask you, as a woman on a top position in such an enormous company, how do you manage to navigate in this fast-changing industry?
I'm not sure if it's linked to being a woman or not. I mean, ultimately, wherever you are, whatever level you are on, you need to be flexible and you need to adapt. So I always think that it's a matter of understanding the landscape and then just seizing the opportunities that appear short term in order to drive the business forward, while, maintaining the directions and saying, okay, this is where we need to go. But in the meantime, plenty of other things might be changing. So we must not forget that there are opportunities that are happening as we speak, even if in 5 years' time we need to go over there, let's say.
Some people might have another opinion, but I truly think that in your field, there's a lot of creativity. When you work with money, you have to be creative. So
that can go both ways, if you put it like that, but okay.
Well, tell me, do you have to be creative, and how you foster this creativity in your team? How do you lead your people to get the maximum and the best results?
I don't think it's a matter of necessarily being creative with money, because again, that can be misinterpreted.
Yes.
But when you've been in a company for a long term and you have a team that has been with a company for a long term, I think it's important to understand what motivates your people in order to create new opportunities for them. So that's why I'm saying we've been with Viber for 9 years, 10 years. There are people that have been with the company on average for longer than 10 years. Any job can get boring unless you actually innovate, that with a new product, a new feature, a new approach, a new go-to-market strategy. Things are happening all the time. Look, there is a lot of hype around AI these days, and I'm sure that it will lead to a lot of opportunities within the team to innovate, to test new things, to engage with new partners, to just rethink what we're doing on a daily basis. So,
but innovation can be risky. And
innovation can be risky, yes. But
have you made mistakes?
The idea would be to make mistakes, fail fast, and then move on to something else. So yes, we have tested things in the past that didn't necessarily work. At some point, Viber was testing what we call user-generated content, so creating communities that allowed people to share opinions, too many opinions, and it turned out that we are not the right platform for that. So we recognized it and we moved, or rather we refocused on what we do best, which is allowing people to interact in certain channels that are made for communication, and then open services and features that are more on the utility space rather than entertainment / user-generated part.
Yeah, the Viber is updating almost every month. We can all see this, but are there new trends that excite you and might become reality in the app soon?
We've done a lot of things in the past year, actually. Apart from the services for businesses of all sizes, actually, we've launched Viber Dating that is now live in 7 markets, and it's just the beginning.
7?
For now,
but
it's very recent. Everything happened this year, mid-year.
It's recent, but does the average Bulgarian user really use it?
So far, they are using it. I'm saying so far they are using it because, each time when we launch a new product and a new feature, first we do a beta test, we open it to a proportion of users, we try to understand the reaction, we try to understand the pitfalls, and from there, gradually we open to more and more and more and more. And it's only 7 markets precisely for this reason. While we have a global strategy to have a dating product, realistically, the local approach remains different because, again, how Bulgarians might see dating or perceive dating is not the same way that the Greeks might do it, or it's not the same way that the Filipinos might do it. So,
what is the difference in our behavior? What is the reason that you have decided to launch it here?
We have decided to launch it here because we have such a good representation of all ages in Bulgaria. And it's a service that appeals to a younger audience, it's 18 plus still, and a more mature audience. So it's easier to understand the trends and to see what they like and the type of features that they use the most. It's a country that has very good representation on all age groups. So it made total sense to use Bulgaria as a launch pad for dating.
And do you see Viber evolving as more beyond messaging? I mean, beyond messaging, beyond all the services and tools that you already have, like enormous, even more bigger ecosystem, digital ecosystem or something?
But as I was saying, our ambition is to be a super app. Super app means a lot of things to a lot of people. Super app is a concept that comes from Asia originally, and while it's never going to be a copy-paste solution because their markets are very, very specific and very different, our understanding of a super app and the way that we see it in Eastern Europe and especially in Bulgaria is actually understanding and adding these services and features that are in the utility space that actually make people's life easier. That's the main part for it. So if it's not going to be useful, if it's not going to be relevant to any of you, it should not be in the app. We want to make your life easier on the one hand, and we want to help local businesses grow on the other hand.
In terms of this, how do you see not only Viber, but all the communication services evolve in the next 5 years, let's say?
What we see on a global level is that more and more apps, different type of apps, are integrating this concept of super app in the sense that they are adding additional services that are somehow linked to what they are doing in order to add relevance and usefulness to the user. Because the reality is that while we have 50 apps on our phone, probably even more, we use 3 on a regular basis. And you typically use those that are on the first screen. That's the most important real estate. So it's a trend that is expanding, and I think we're going to see more and more consolidation over time, with more and more businesses investing into platforms rather than standalone apps, because the user's attention is too fragmented.
Particularly to Viber, what is your mission? What is your mission to help people, to help businesses? If you can wrap it up in one sentence.
The super app for businesses of all sizes, from a business perspective, and again, a super app for users that makes their life easier. Sounds very bombastic, if you say it like that, but it has a real meaning behind, and it is incredibly important to us to serve the users and to serve the local businesses alike.
But it's bombastic indeed. We have Viber in more than 190 countries, right?
It's a big challenge. I didn't say it's going to be easy.
Are you going to expand to more countries soon?
I think we're quite busy covering the countries that we already have. So wait, give us a little bit of time.
How big is your team actually?
Our team actually tends to be quite conservative but we are part of Rakuten. And Rakuten is a much, much bigger corporation, and we're talking about tens of thousands of people. So let's say that as much as we can, we use the resources in order to deliver something great.
You wrap it up with one sentence, but what is Viber to you with one word?
It's very difficult, you know. That's actually the best question and the most difficult question. It's very difficult to explain to people from the outside. But this company does have something special. It comes down, in my opinion, to the people that are part of it. And I think it's the reason why so many of us have been with the company for such a long time as employees. And obviously, apparently, it's the reason why so many users have followed Viber for so many years as well. So it's the people. It all comes down to the people.
So the word is people.
Yeah, the word is people.
Yeah, okay. Yes. People. Okay. Thank you so much, Cristina, for joining us, for telling us all these interesting things. And I hope you stay till the end. See you next time.